Hey, what's up, guys? It's Gabe with Nerd Tech. I just wanted to give you an updated video on my real estate wholesale business CRM, kind of how it works, and my flow on how I work leads through the system. So, if you see this and you like it, you want to use it, I do offer this. It's based on GoHighLevel. I give you an account and it's a subscription, or we can even build you something from scratch. I've worked with a lot of different industries and built lots of different automations for it. But for my real estate wholesale business, we have our dashboard here. We track some basic metrics. We track all of our leads that come in, our qualified leads, meaning leads that we've talked with and they actually are not spam, but they have told us that they actually do want an offer on their house. We track our first time appointments so that we know how many appointments does it take to get to a contract. We track our seller signed contracts, our buyer signed contracts, and our closed deals. There's some other metrics down here that we tracked, but we're not going to get into that right now. The meat and potatoes behind all of this is the opportunities section right here. In the opportunities, we have multiple different pipelines, and my first pipeline is called lead intake. The purpose of lead intake for me is it captures all of our leads from forms or from direct mail, people that call in. We do a lot of postcards, Google ads, Facebook ads. Those are all forms. So one of the cool things about GoHighLevel is through forms, you can bring in leads very easily. You can trigger automations to happen immediately when those leads come in. And same with phone numbers. I have multiple different phone numbers. I place those on different marketing materials, such as postcards. We have different real estate lists we send to on the postcards. So I'm able to track, depending on what phone number they call, we know when that comes in, it comes from a certain list that I purchased, certain type of, it's technically a motivation factor. So if somebody calls back from a vacant property or a code violations list, then we know which lists to buy or which lists we're scraping from the county, which working best. So if we're able to track that, it makes a lead into the system. We're notified immediately. Automations can go out, such as text messages. AI voice answers our calls as well. That's very, very powerful, 24/7. We have an AI that picks up and can qualify the lead, take information. A lot of direct mail, people just want to be taken off the list. So it's nice being able to have AI answer those calls so that our team doesn't have to get, cussed out, bashed down, degraded, that type of thing. So keeps their spirits alive. But it starts with lead intake. So leads come in, however that may be. We figure out how to get them into the system. If you're working with us, then that's one of the first things we'll talk about. Leads go here. You're notified that you got a new lead. If it's a web lead, we typically have a text message automated that goes out that lets them know that we got their information, and our chatbot will engage to schedule a call so that our acquisitions can give them a call, talk, chat with them about their house, set up an appointment to come see it, that type of thing. So our flow goes the new lead. We try to call them, attempt to call them. We always try manually the first time. We call them right away. If we cannot reach them, it goes to attempting the contact auto. This is an automation I have set up in the back end, and you can just drag and drop these here like that. And so if I drag and dropped it over here, it would start an automation that sends them a text message, and it would wait a little bit. It would leave them a voicemail. And then the first day it does that, it hits them twice, 2 times in one day. We kind of aggressively trying to get back with these new leads. And then it's once a day. And then the week after that, it backs off to every other day. So all in all, it goes out about 45 days. And the sole purpose of this is just new leads that come in. We're just trying to touch base and get back in contact with them to see if they actually did want an offer on their house, or maybe they're just spam, or maybe they're calling to tell us to take us off their list. So we're just trying to qualify them. That's simply it. If they're not interested, we just drop them here. Not interested, we like to keep track of that because it tells us that we have the right contact information. We might want to resend something to them in a year. We're not going to bother them, but at least we know we have the right contact information. If we drop them in this auto and they never respond back, then it just goes and dies in the unresponsive. We don't do anything with them. We don't want to try to keep getting in touch with these people forever because, like I said, it could be spam, and that's just wasted money. So if they are interested, we do contact them. They do have a house that they want an offer on. Then we put them in contacted ready. What this actually does is it marks the status. If I click into this opportunity, I can see the status is open. It's going to mark the status as 1. So For me, it's one for this stage, meaning this lead is qualified. It duplicates everything over. So if I've made notes about the property details, it'll duplicate everything and then it creates a new opportunity in my seller pipeline. So it's marked as one in the lead intake, it's qualified. Now it comes into the seller pipeline, it goes to due diligence here. You can see copied them over. Elvis Presley is now in the seller pipeline. For me, the seller pipeline means this is a hot lead that we are working and we are ready to do something to them today. If during this process they go cold or stale, we would click into the opportunity, we would take them out of the seller pipeline, we'd put them in the follow-ups pipeline where we can choose the stage, where we can do a 90, 30, 14, or 7 day. When we put them in here, it'll automatically go due today when they're ready. Or if they're super cold, we can just put them in the cold follow-up automation. This is an SMS that goes out to them over the course of 2 years. And I prefer SMS. This can be altered and added to. You can add email to it. You can add voicemail to it. I don't want them to be very buggy on the messaging. I just wanted to say things like, hey, we're still buying in the area. Keep us in mind when you're ready. So that's the type of messaging that goes out if they're super cold. If they're still warm and we want to manually still stay in touch with these people, we'll just drop them in one of these timers here and it'll give us the due today. So, but as long as they're still hot and as long as we're still working them, meaning we're setting the appointment, we're making an offer, we're trying to get the contract signed, even if we need to follow up on an offer, follow up on an appointment, follow up on a contract, that's not true follow up. That's still a hot lead. What we're going to do is I'm going to go down here, next action. And if I'm following up on an offer, maybe tomorrow, I would say follow up on offer of fucking wife. All right. I would update that and then it's going to show up right here so I can see at a quick glance. Also, I'll show you if I have the property details filled out. Do KC. All right, update. Now I want to show you here when we go to manage fields, I can have this stuff pop up here. So we'll go to the opportunity details, next action step. Okay, fresh. Okay, let me see if I can get that on there again. Opportunity details, next action step, next action date, property details. All right, there we go. So I just want to show you, you can rearrange these fields here. This is how I look at my opportunities. Okay. So we're going to see the contact, we're going to see the street and city, and then I'd be able to quickly see at a glance my next action step. You can use tasks. I don't use tasks. I just like to see at a quick glance what my next action is, especially in the seller pipeline. Like I said, the philosophy here is that they're hot leads. We're moving them forward. So I just need to quickly see what am I doing? Why am I doing it? When do I need to get it done? And then the different stages are showing me where that's at. So the note with the stage shows me exactly what I need to do for the day. So it starts in due diligence. I'm going to check out the property. I'm going to make sure I want to make an offer. We're going to book the appointment. In order to do that, we would click into here. We would go to book appointment and I would use the seller first time appointment. I'd choose the date and time. I would book that appointment. It's going to track that KPI. It's also going to send the seller messages, letting them know that they have an appointment coming up. This helps with cancellations or no-shows. After the appointment's over, since most of our appointments are in person, it's going to go to appointment follow-up. No automation happens here, but what does happen is if I had 10 appointments throughout the day, it's going to move from booked to appointment follow-up. So when I come back to the office and I know exactly what I need to do, I've talked with these people, I've likely taken pictures, we've talked about potential offers. I'm going to gather all of my thoughts, my pictures, get things organized, and then we're going to call them back and make an offer. Or potentially I did that in person. So then I would just go straight to here, make a note about that, and then I'd be following up with them on what that offer is. Now, again, this stage does not have any automations. This is simply just a stage to track where I'm at, what I'm doing, letting me know that I've made an offer. You could automate something to go out here, but every person's scenario is different. I'm not going to automate sending a text message to follow up on an offer tomorrow when maybe they said, give me 2 days. I'm going to respect that. That's just going to bug them. So I don't have any automations that go out on here. I'm just going to make a note on when I need to follow up because this is still a hot lead. You need to be careful about doing automations on hot leads. You really want to stay in contact with them through text or call directly and not try to automate that until they become cold or super cold where you're just going to follow up with them long term. So if they do decide that they like our offer and they're going to move forward, then what we can do, I have a few sections over here. I already showed you one. Property details is for storing all the details about the property. Then we have contract information, which is all the information I'm going to fill out about the contract. Once I fill this out, I'll be able to select whether I want a PDF or e-sign. It's going to pre-fill that contract for me. I'm going to save it. And then when I slide this over to send contract, it's going to pre-fill and send that contract. If it's e-sign, it's going to send it. If it's PDF, it's going to create a draft where I can print that out and take it to the appointment if I want to do it that way. This is property details, contract information. Marketing details is for our VA to know about what type of language we want to send out for our email and our text blast when we send it out to our buyers. And then closing information is just some details we track for our closings. Now, what I want to say is the property detail, contract info, marketing, and closing, these are custom sections. When you go to add and manage fields, they're created by using the folders. And then I can put custom fields that I create inside those folders, and that's how these get created. So all of this is completely alterable. It's editable. You can change the language, you can change the information in the fields inside here so you can modify it to make it exactly how your business works and how you want to see things. But these were all customized by me. Opportunity details, these are default fields. I did put some custom fields inside here, these two at the bottom, but everything up here are default fields. You can't change them. And then on booked appointment update, this is a default section. In the calendar settings, you can add more calendars to here. You can alter these as well. Tasks is a default section. You can't alter or change this. You can keep track of your tasks here. You can also automate creating tasks. Notes is a default section. You can choose to sync notes with the contact and the opportunity or have them specific just for the opportunity. And payments is a default section. So the only four custom ones that I created were the property details, contract info, marketing details, and closing. All of these which have also custom fields inside of them that can all be changed or modified as well. We do have a little custom code I put on the back end for my clients is the Google Maps and the Zillow integration. So if you put in an address and click one of these, it'll immediately take you to that. That's just for convenience. A lot of people like using that. So moving on to the flow. So we've filled out the contract information. Obviously we haven't, but once we do, we're going to drag it to send contract. Nothing's going to happen when I do that. But if the contract information was filled out and if I selected PDF or e-sign, then it's going to determine how it's going to send that. If you have your own contract to upload, it's perfectly fine. You can upload the contract. It's actually done in the payment section. And then when you click into here, I'll show you a little bit later, there's a tab called Documents and Contracts where you can upload your own contracts. You do have to go in the automation and tell that automation to use that new contract. Right now, I have uploaded several template contracts and connected them so that they work so that you can see how it works, just so you understand that you can do these automations like this. But if you choose to go with this and want my help getting it set up, that all comes with my service as well. After they sign the contract, you're going to get an email notification that it's signed. It will also save to the contact. So if we clicked into the contact, which is separate than the opportunity, and sometimes people get confused, a contact is a contact and an opportunity is a property connected to the contact. So we keep the opportunities separate because a contact could have multiple properties that they're selling. So they would be multiple opportunities connected to the same contact. But when that contact signs a contract, there is a section over here called documents that would automatically be attached here and you'd be able to see the contract there. And it does give you the certificate page. It is official, it's legal. It's all we use for our contracts now when we're doing electronic signatures. We do get most of our seller contracts signed in person, but we do most of our buyer contracts electronically. You can do addendums, changes, amendments to the contract, do all that type of stuff by going into the payments and the document and contract section and uploading your contracts. If we go back to the opportunity, continuing on after the contract is signed, you'll get a notification to your email, and then you're going to put it in the under contract marketing section. All this does is you'll see here in a minute, it's going to automate adding a task. That task is for my VA. It's going to tell the VA to send out the email and the text blast. So for me, all I need to do is make sure that I have this filled out, the marketing details. I'm going to put in the access instructions, our pictures link, our marketing description, our target sales price, which is what we're going to try to sell it for. And then our VA will get a task to send that out through email and text, which we also do through the system. So your email campaigns are going to be sent out in this marketing tab here. You can create templates. They can look professional. You can make them look like just written emails, like you wrote it. However you want to create that, create a template for it. She'll go and fill out the information, or you go fill out the information for that deal, and you'll send it to your cash buyers list. Same with the text messages as well. So once it's sent out and we actually start getting buyers interested, we're actually going to work those buyers in the buyer pipeline. Now, we want to create an opportunity for that buyer that also has the same property, street, address, and same information as right here. We track opportunities on buyers separate. We don't put the buyer in the same card as the seller because we track closings separately. Sometimes we do separate closings, but we also want to just be able to see our history of what buyers have purchased. So we want them to have their own opportunities connected to that address as well. We're able to dig up data such as what buyers are buying where, what cities, who's bought the most, who's bought the least, who's never bought, who's wasting their time. So it's nice being able to have that data to look through. So if we do have a buyer that's interested, we're just going to click into here. We're going to go back to the marketing details, and we just had to create a simple automation to clone this over to our buyer pipeline. So we're going to click to clone the interested buyer. We're going to update that. It's going to trigger that automation to clone this, and it's going to put that in the buyer pipeline. So we can see over here, we're going to refresh the page so we can see it populate. All right, let's do it one more time. Sometimes there it is. All right, so it created the duplicate opportunity for the buyer, and you'll see it says replace contact with buyer contact. What that means is since it duplicated it, it also duplicated over the seller right here. So all we need to do is go and find our buyer who said he was interested. Maybe he replied by email or SMS. We're going to attach him to this contact. It's going to automatically update the opportunity name. You'll see when I update, click out of it. And again, I'll refresh my page because it takes a minute for it to populate. You can see it automatically updated the name. Now we have the street and city here because it brought that over from the seller. So now we can work this buyer. We're going to set an appointment. We're going to confirm the showing. After the showing, it's going to go to post showing. Once the buyer has determined he's going to sign a contract, we're going to go in here just like the seller. We're going to fill out the contract information for the buyer. And then we're going to drop this over to send a buyer contract. It's going to send that contract either through the e-sign or PDF, just like the seller, depending on what we choose. And then once they sign it through e-sign, we're going to get a notification that they signed it. We're going to drag it over to contract signed. What happens here is it's actually going to mark this as 1 in the buyer pipeline. That's going to track that we have a contract signed. It's going to hide it in the background, and then it's going to duplicate this again and send it back to our seller pipeline here. In our seller pipeline, he'll populate right here in the buyer found, and I'll refresh my page so you can see that. There we have our buyer found. This is going to notify our acquisitions that now we have a buyer and a seller for the same property. So we're going to move them to title started. We're going to start that title process. It's going to send title an email. It's going to send them the contract, and it's going to let them know that we need to start the title search. You may work with attorneys. You may want to change that wording. That's perfectly fine. It's all editable so that you can make this fit your exact business needs. The important part is the framework here on working the deal is solid bones, and this has helped a lot of people get started in the wholesale industry. Once the title started, we wait here until it's done. And then once it's ready to close, we close it, and then we're able to move each one of these to closed. It will mark them as 1, and it'll hide them in the background once they're marked as 1. Of course, if something happens, we can always drag them into canceled contract, or if we just don't like the deal, we can send to pass on deal, and it'll mark them both as lost deals or abandoned. So once they're closed, it's going to track those KPIs as well. In the dashboard, we'll see that we have a closed deal for the buyer and the seller. And that's the whole seller pipeline. So that's where most everything happens. And then in the follow-ups pipeline, I showed you that we can put them here. And this is just what it looks like. You only saw it through the drop down. But if we dropped anything in the 14-day, if we dropped anything in the 90-day, any one of these, it'll actually move them along. So in 30 days, it'll move from 90 to 30, and 16 more days, it'll move them from 30 to 14. 7 more days, it'll move them from 14 to 7. The reason why I like that is sometimes we go on vacation. Everybody does, right? So you're able to see them coming down the line. If we're going on vacation next week and we see our 7-day follow up has 50 people there, we might want to knock some of those out before they come due next week. A lot of times follow ups, aren't super date specific, so you can knock most of that stuff out now. Now, if it was date specific, you could drop them in the next action follow up date. That would be date specific. Then they would stay here until that date came due and it would go due today. I used to work by tasks a lot. Now I try to make sure that I can see everything in my pipeline stages. And it's just a little bit more appealing to me to see the pipelines, where things are at, versus just looking at a dead end task list. So that's how I prefer to work. This is pretty much how you're going to work the whole leads. This is how I work leads. It can be completely customized for you. In the automation section, you can see all the automations that happen behind the scenes. We have seller automations and buyer automations. I'll show you an example inside the seller automations folder. In our auto sequences, here is the cold follow-up automation that goes out for 2 years. So we can see when they're added here, we wait 30 days, and then it sends them a text message. You can see those messages here. Wait 60 days, sends them another text message. And it's so easy to click this plus. Let's say we want to add a voicemail here as well. So we can add a voicemail, we can upload a file, and it's going to upload whatever voicemail we want to record. And it's going to drop that voicemail right there in this part. So you can add different voicemails and you can drop them at different points throughout the journey of them going through this nurture. If you want to send them an email, you're collecting emails. At this point, we don't usually have an email for clients, so I don't send that out. It's as easy as add in the email action, add the from name, from email, subject, and the message right here. Anytime you're working in the system and you want to add variables, this little price tag, I call it, or tag, you click on there, we can add first name, comma, and you can type your message. Simple as that. You'll see this symbol throughout the system, and that's how you add in merge data. For templates, email templates, SMS templates, you're going to use that a lot. It's very powerful. Excuse me. So I want to give you an example on how easy it is to edit that. Another example of my automations in the seller pipeline here, we can see on this side where we send contract. It's going to determine whether it was an e-sign or PDF, depending on what we selected, and then it's going to send it out. So these two right here, where you see the little document symbols, that's where it's determining which contract to send. So if you do upload your own contract, you're going to want to come to this automation. You want to click on the template. You're going to want to select the template that you uploaded. Okay, then you'll save that and it'll start using your contract. And to do that, like I said earlier, I mentioned that you're going to go to payments. Inside of payments, you go to documents and contracts and select templates. And here you'll be able to see the templates that I have added for you. You can use them, you can look at them, you can simply click on them and just see how I have them pre-filled. If you want to add your own, you just click on new, upload existing PDF, and then you can add your contracts there, pre-fill them, add them to the automation, and then it's going to start sending them out automatically for you. Another important thing is people ask me all the time, I get a lot of leads from websites. How do I get my website leads coming in? No, you don't need to rebuild your website. You can. This does have a website builder, but keep your website. Instead, just go to sites, go to forms. Inside of forms, you'll see some forms that I already have created that you can use. And it froze up. Let me refresh my screen. Here you'll see some forms that I've created that you can use. Buyer forms, seller forms, buyer criteria form is a really neat one because we post this on our social. So we get our criteria from our buyers. We keep that updated. We send it out every 6 months to a year on current buyers, or we also get buyers to fill this out. Any of this data is all searchable. If we had a really hard deal that we needed to sell in a certain area or as a type of property, we could search that on the system, find the buyers that specifically said they like those types of properties, and then we just give them a call and try to sell that property. You can't always rely on email or text blast, right? So if you already have a website, though, getting back to what I was talking about, we just need to create a simple contact form on your website, and then when you click on integrate, you would click this copy embed code, give that to your web developer, or you can simply use that code and take off the form that's on your website, put this form on using that code. And then when people fill this out, it's going to immediately come into the system and create those leads. And I'll show you where that happens. If we go to automation, we go back to our seller folder. An example of what that looks like, we go to seller web form submitted. Here's the automation that happens. It's going to say that if the seller web form is submitted, seller web form step 1. We also have a step 2. It's going to determine which ones was submitted. Step 1 will be first. It's going to update the contact so that we know there's a web lead. It's going to change it to a contact type seller, and it's going to send them a thank you. It's also going to automatically create an opportunity. We don't have to show that here because it does it directly from the form. It's going to put it in our new leads pipeline. If it's a seller step 2, then it's going to tag it that they filled out, that it's a hot, they filled out a step 2 form. It's going to find that opportunity in the pipeline, and it's going to update that opportunity to the extra fields that we have on the step 2 form so that we have that extra information. And then we're also going to send ourselves an internal notification email letting us know that we have a really hot lead because they filled out step 2. So that's just going to tell us that we really need to jump on this and contact that lead back immediately. So just wanted to show you a few examples of how you can get the leads in and how those web forms can connect to your website, where they go, how to get them into opportunities, and how the whole flow of my wholesale business operates. So hope this was super beneficial to you. I've had a lot of people ask about this. It has been popular. I'd love to help you get on here. I think I'm one of the only people that actually use this and know how it works for this specific industry. It's got a lot of attention through people finding me on YouTube. And I'm not trying to brag, but I love helping people build this out. I love automations. I love systemizing things. I love being organized and keeping track of my leads. Super, super important. I know that this type of business, you can get overwhelmed very quickly with follow-up. So if this is something that you've been looking for, schedule an appointment on my calendar. It's in the YouTube description. Let's set a point. We'll do a Zoom call. You're actually going to talk with me, and we'll go over what you need and see if we can to get you started on this, or maybe something custom that's a little bit different. So happy to help in any way. But if you've made it this far, thanks for watching.